everyone, this is Vicki and welcome back to my channel. Today for day 2, I'm going to be making a set of 2 tags to put on Christmas gifts. And I thought I would use this die set from Tonic Studios. It's a very cute one where it has a little overlay and then a base die that you can make out of another color. I have not used this one before and I'm really looking forward to getting started on that today. And then also for the design, I'm going to be using Gina K Designs Snowflake Trio, and I don't think I've used this before. I don't know if this one came out this year or if it's just been hiding in my stash, but I'm excited to use that one also. To start today's project, I'm going to make 2 tags, and I cut 2 pieces of white cardstock using the larger inset die from the Tonic Studios Tags and Stamps die set, and I'm just going to use, or initially I was going to use, Tumbled glass distress ink to add frosty layers of blues all across the card and kind of make an ombre look. But as soon as I put that blue on there, you'll see in a few minutes that I changed my mind and decided to add a blanket layer of tumbled glass, but in the distress oxide. And I'm glad I did that because I really like the end result a lot better than what I was liking with the more vibrant color of the distress ink. So I just used the blending tool and got ink all over my fingers, but I end up getting a piece of mint tape and putting that over my fingers to keep ink both off my fingers and my fingerprints off of the little tags. But I added just a blanket layer of distress oxide and tumbled glass, and I did that to both of the cards, to both of the tags. And once this is completed, I will set those aside to dry for a couple of seconds, and then I'm going to start splattering and adding shimmer to them. Let's just finish this up and add a little more here, a little more there. And then I get out the rubbing alcohol, protect my tags, and I spray down the desktop to get up the excess ink and just use a soft cloth to clean up any remaining ink that's on my glass board. And then once that's done, I bring in my Brutus Monroe spray tray. I'm not sure if you guys have one of these, but I love it because it's so easy to clean up. So I grab my Brutus Monroe spray tray and I place those die cuts inside the spray tray, and I'm going to mist them a few times with the product that's made by Imagine. It's called Sheer Shimmer. It's a mouthful. Sheer Shimmer Craft Spray, and the color is Sparkle. So what it does, it's very similar to the Tim Holtz Spritz. It adds a light shimmering. I mean, you can coat the whole tag if you wanted to, but you can spritz it and just get little dots of silvery shimmery goodness all over the tag fronts. And I'm going to grab the tweezers and take those out of the spray tray, and I'm going to heat set them with my Ranger Heat It tool. And I probably heated it more than I needed to, but I just wanted to make sure that ink and the shimmer spray was all dry, because after this I'm going to bring back in the spray tray and then put some Spellbinders Splatter White on it to give that snowy effect. So let's go ahead and get these heat set. Just a little bit more, a little bit more. One more time. That looks good. Bend them back into shape. And we should, any minute now, grab the spray tray again. And you can see how shimmery those look in the light. Here we go. Back with the Brutus Monroe spray tray. And I'm going to get out the Spellbinders Splatter White and a paintbrush. And I'm going to add just a little bit of Splatter White into my spray tray using the paintbrush. And I believe I just added 2, possibly 3 drops of water to the Splatter White and mixed it up with the paintbrush. 1, 2, 3, I guessed good. Okay, here we go. We're going to mix that up with the water to thin it down a little bit. And I'm going to tap the first time off to the side just to make sure I don't get a big blob. And then we're just going to splatter, splatter, and more splatter to get a nice little snowy effect going across the cards. Or, excuse me, the tags. Add a little bit more. And a little bit more. You can never have too much splatter. And then we're going to get the tweezers and remove those from the spray tray and heat set those to dry. So now we're going to bring in the Gina K Designs Snowflake Trio dies and the Altenew Milky Way Glitter Cardstock pack. The two colors that I'm going to use for this project are the Moonstone and Silver, I believe. I went back and forth with one of the other colors, but I believe we settled on the Moonstone and Silver. And I used the two smaller snowflakes from the Gina K Snowflake Trio set, and I cut each one twice. I cut, I believe it was the silver that I cut the larger of my two dies out of. Let's see what I'm getting ready to do here. I remember being wishy-washy about it at first, and I think I left the footage in for you to enjoy. Here we go. I like this one. I like that one. That looks pretty good. No, I think I'm going to change my mind. I'm wishy-washy that way. Anyone who knows me knows I'm wishy-washy. So I cut two of each one from each color, and or two small ones from the Moonstone and two large ones from the Silver. And then I sped the footage up so you didn't have to painfully watch me sit there and try to weed snowflakes because it takes me forever. And voila, here we have two magical snowflakes. Next, I used the Spellbinders Indigo cardstock and the large base die for the tags. And that's what I will use for my tag bases. So now I'm going to bring in the Heidi Swap mini mink machine, and this is what I'll use to do my hot foiling with. And I decided upon these Simon Says Stamp Christmas Wishes cinnamon strips. I've used these many times. Actually, I think I've used these many times already this year, but there were a couple of small ones in there that I really thought would look good on these tags. So I'm going to move the mini mink machine out of the way, and I'm going to use the Holtz mini trimmer. Everything's mini. Bring out the mini trimmer, and I'm going to cut this card of sentiment strips in half and just leave it to where the two that I want to use are at the top of the piece that I'm going to foil. It'll just make it easier for me in the long run, but these will all be foiled so at one point or another. So I decided, well, let's just foil the lower half. Then I brought in the Deco foil in the color Pewter because I thought that would go good with my little silver theme that I had happening on our tags today. And I brought in my Gina K carrier sheet for her fuse. I don't have the fuse yet, but I have her carrier sheets. And I put the sentiment strips into the carrier sheet, and then I wipe it off with the Swiffer cloth, just like Gina K, to make sure there's no dust on there, or try to remove as much dust as possible. And then I get the back side of the foil also with that Swiffer cloth, trying to keep any error to a minimum. And then once I get that trimmed down and fit in, I run that through the mini mink machine. And I think I speed it up a little bit to keep you from having to sit there and watch it go as slow as it really goes. And once we get those finished, we'll turn the mink machine off and get it out of the way. Set it aside. And then I remove the sentiment strips with the foil still on them, and I like to turn them face down onto, or foil side down onto my glass surface and kind of rub it around to get it cooled off quicker. And that way I feel like I get a better foiling. But then there you can see it, how beautiful those sentiments are with that pewter foil. So beautiful. We're going to bring in my mini trimmer from Holtz again. And I Swiffered those this time just to get off those little erroneous pieces of loose foil that seem to sometimes stick to things. And I'm going to use that top little strip. So that's all I do here is use the mini trimmer to cut off the two I want. And then I trim the ends of each of the 2 sentiments that are in this little row. So I have 2 separate foiled beautiful sentiments for the front of my holiday snowy gift tags. Almost done here. One more trim and the machine gets to be put up. Beautiful. Got to be sure and tuck those away for futures. And away we go. Thank you, Vicki. And there are our sentiment strips. So now we're going to bring in our Indigo tag bases, and I'm going to layer over the Oxide ink splattered top layer for them. And I'm kind of laying these out just to kind of get an idea, because this was on the fly. I had no idea really what I was making. I just came in here and started recording. And so I went ahead and layered those up to make sure that I made the right decision on the colors, the perfect size for those littler sentiment strips that I foiled. Beautiful, Vicki. Let's go. And one moment, please. We're going to bring in the glue. And this is the Tim Holtz Distress Collage Medium. And I just applied that to the back side of each of the little front layers for the tags. And get that positioned into the center. This tag die is really cute. If you don't have this and you like to make tags, you really need this one, because it was new to me. I loved it. And then we're going to do the same with put a weight on it, and then do the same with the second tag. I'm just going to use my Distress Collage Medium that I put in that little tiny bottle and apply adhesive to the back side. And once all of that is finished, then we'll apply it to the Indigo tag base and put another weight on top of it to make sure that it doesn't slip out of place. And then we'll start prepping the other goodies for the tag fronts. So I take the Moonstone and silver. The silver is the back one. I'm going to apply glue to the center only of the silver snowflake. And then I'm going to layer the Moonstone one on top. I think I twisted a bit. Yeah, there it is. Twist that a bit and get it lined up, and then use my honeybee reverse tweezers to hold that while it dries. Then we're going to do the same thing with the other one, I believe. Get another pair of tweezers. Here goes some more glue around the center. And align the Moonstone. I just love the name of that cardstock. The Moonstone glitter cardstock on top of the silver one. Use our reverse tweezers again and set those aside to let the glue dry. Beautiful. So next I've got some scrapbook adhesives. I think they're ultra thin or thin 3D foam squares, I think is actually what they're called. I like using these. They are thin. And I'm going to cut little strips or one square into 3 pieces. And I'm going to do that twice since we have 2 sentiment strips. And these are going to be the foam strips. I'm not even going to call them squares at this point. These are the foam strips that I'm going to apply to the reverse side of our sentiments. Just give them a little bit of dimension on our tags. And it also helps them to stick better to that glitter cardstock, because sometimes that can be tricky. I have problems myself getting a quick adhesion with liquid glue onto glitter cardstock, but I'm not opposed to trying. So we're going to release the crack and bring in our beautiful little cards or tag fronts. And then I noticed, where am I going to write on the back? Where am I going to write my to and from on the back? So I pull out that large base die again, the one that we cut the Indigo cardstock from, and I'm going to get some scrap white cardstock and cut 2 more pieces from that so I can glue those onto the backs of my indigos. So here we go. That's the problem. I mean, you could use a silver pen if you didn't want to have to cut this extra layer. You could use a silver pen or even a white, like Uniball pen to write your to and from. But I thought, okay, let's just go ahead while we're making these beautiful little tags and make a back layer for them so that I could write either a sentiment of my own, you know, my own little greeting, or literally just use it as a to and from. Put some glue on those. Get the second one all lined up, backed nicely, perfect alignment, or less than perfect alignment, but I try. And then we'll put a weight on that one to give it some drying time. Now we bring back in our scrapbook adhesive squares. And we're going to release the snowflakes from the reverse tweezers and put one of these squares on the back of each of the snowflakes, and that way they'll stick nicely to the front and it gives them a little bit of dimension. These are really thin, and that's why I like them, but it'll give them a little bit of dimension, a little bit of lift off at the front of the tag. Okay, pull off that release paper and get some tweezers so we can position those into the correct location onto the center of the first tag. That looks good. Go ahead, press in place and do the same with the second one. These Gina snowflakes really did turn out pretty. I just love how delicate they were. We're going to center this one, and that looks good. Very nice. Oh, we're going to do a little fluffing, get a little bit of lift on the edges of those snowflakes. Because, you know, once we put down that sentiment strip, this is probably going to have been a wasted step. But hey, it's so much fun to craft, so who cares? So then we remove the reverse paper, the release paper from the back of the foam adhesive. And then I centered those sentiments from Simon Says Stamps Christmas Wishes that we foiled onto the front of each one of the little tags. So pretty. Let's lay it on there, Vicki. There you go. Bring it up, make sure it's straight, or as straight as I can get it. Looks lovely. Clean up my mess and add some embellishments. This calls for confettis. I believe they're called Sparkle All the Way. I've had these a little minute or two, but they are very pretty. They're like a flat sequins, I believe they're called, but they don't have the hole in them. But they're not that what I call AB. When you're talking about gemstones, you're talking about the AB, and it's almost like an iridescent. These are just a pretty plain silver with lots of sparkle to them because they're reflective, but they don't have any additional colors added to them. And that's why I chose these. And I do believe it's called Sparkle All the Way. If I'm wrong, I'll put up on the screen what they're really called. So I just glued those down with some more of that collage medium using my Trinity Stamps wax gem picker tool, which reminds me I need to get a new tip for it. And then I believe after this, I'm going to put away the glue. And I believe the last thing that I do is the ribbons. I think I bought it at Hobby Lobby. It's like a spool of 4 different colors, and it's an 1/8 inch wide. And it had, I believe, 2 reds, a green, and a white. So I just cut 2 lengths, of this white ribbon. And it was really cheap because, you know, everything's always 50% off at Hobby Lobby. But I just strung those through the top of each one of these little tags. And I'm so glad I bought this ribbon because it works perfect for tags. The hole is small on them, and it literally is about 1/8 of an inch wide. I want to say that's what it's called. And it was just really inexpensive, and it will work perfect for all your gift tags. There you can see to hold that up into the light, you can see the shine off the sequins and also that shimmer spray. These turned out really good. I was really pleased with them. And that wraps it up for these tags. I'll zoom in a little closer and I hope it gives you some ideas. I've added a list of all the products I used in the description box below the video for your use, just in case you're interested. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. If you enjoyed what you saw, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up, and you can subscribe to my channel by hitting that subscribe button and click on the bell if you would like to be notified of future videos. Until next time, happy making!